Okay, so what we're going to go through right now is how to set up our tournament on TRPC. We will be looking at actually matching up the rounds and setting up what debaters are going to need to see. In the following video, we'll also include having to or how to put in ballots. There'll also be another video about little odds and ends about how to delete or potentially add people as well as switch things around. But for this first one, we're going to focus on the basics, which is setting up a tournament. So you should be seeing my background. You should be watching the cursor move around. I'm going to try to make this as quick and painless as possible. But of course, feel free to follow up with any questions you may have for me. Okay, so once we have TRPC entered, you might have some title from a previous tournament here. There could be other things from previous tournaments. We're going to go ahead and erase all that by going to Format, clicking Format Files for a new tournament. It's going to ask you if you really want to do this. You need to type in the word Proceed, click Format New Files. Are you really sure you wish to erase all of TRPC data files on your hard drive? Yes, you are. Sometimes this may occur while you're using TRPC. It may just close down entirely. Just go ahead and open it back up again and pick up right where you left off. So going back up to Format now for our new tournament, we're going to start with Tournament Setup options, starting with number 1, Tournament Name. For this example, I'm going to use CFL number 1 since that's the one I'm actually going to set up. Location, wherever it is taking place. The date, whatever format you choose to use for that. You could use numerics if you care to. Now, this next part is very important depending on how many events you have. If you're going to have 2 events, make sure you click 2 divisions. If you're going to have 4, make sure you click 4. This will be especially important later on in this video when we actually go through and download the data. Because if you only have 1 clicked, but you have 4 things written in here, it's only going to recognize that one thing. So we're going to have 2 because we're going to have 2 events, Lincoln Douglas and public forum. Now, there may be some that say it doesn't matter what order you go in. I think it does matter because Lincoln Douglas, you need a little bit more of a specialized judge. So you're going to want to make sure you set up those rounds before you do public forum. Public forum, you can use any judge, anybody really, bus drivers, teachers, doesn't matter who it is. Next setup. Now, for the specifics, Lincoln Douglas, obviously there's only 1 person per team. Public forum, there's 2. Ranks only really matter in policy. So there really are no worries about ranks. I doubt your ballots will ask for ranks in public forum. If they do, you can click yes, but for now we're going to do no. For the points, this matters when it comes to the ballot. If the ballot says 50 points maximum, then 50 points. If it says 30, 30, 20, 20. 99 is just so you can put in any number. I'm going to leave it set at 30 for now, but if your ballot indicates 50 points is the maximum, you're going to want to make sure you change that. Otherwise, you won't be able to type in anything over 30. Flighted rounds, no. Flip coin. This is only for public forum. So you're going to click yes again. Combined speaker names, nope, not going to worry about speaker names. Next setup. Okay, this one is really important because this is going to determine the type of rounds. Since we're looking at a 4-round tournament, there's no eliminators, there's no power pairings. Everything is going to be preset, which is the P here. The preset round is basically where it's going to randomly put people together. It's not going to put people together that have already seen each other. It's not going to put school against school. It is also going to do its best to make sure that there's an equal number of times on AF or neg in the case of Lincoln Douglas. Public forum being a coin flip, it's not really going to make a difference. So right now you can see how it's set up, preset for all these different areas. So we're going to change this by simply clicking in the first box and hitting the letter P, 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 P. And then since there's only 4 rounds, we can go ahead and type in N, which means no round for the remaining ones. So N, 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 N. We're going to have to do the exact same thing for public forum to make sure that they are equal when we set them up, and then no rounds here. For this part, how much delay, that really only matters when you're doing a power pairing match. Since we're not doing any of those, we don't have to worry about that time. Next setup. Again, this is for a power pairing match. We can just really ignore this right now. There's no point in focusing on this. Next setup. All right, tiebreakers. When it comes to determining the overall winner, you have different ways to look at tiebreakers. The first and foremost is looking at wins. Unfortunately, TRPC does not allow you to look at head-to-head matchups. That's not something that's an option, unfortunately. So what you really have to look at there is on your own, comparing, just in case if you have a tie of 3-1, 3-1, and one of the 3-1 teams or individuals lost to the other one, well, there's your tiebreaker. Head-to-head should really be your second tiebreaker, but because it's not included, we're going to switch it to total points next, and then high-low points, where we're looking at how many points they had on their highest ballot and how many points they had on their lowest ballot. And then double points, triple, quad. Then we'll look at the opposition wins just to see what kind of people they went up against. And then lastly, a random number. Typically, wins and total points will divide it. Like I said, you should be looking at after wins, although it's not an option in TRPC, if there's a tie, whether or not they saw each other in a round. And if so, whoever won should be ranked higher. In the case where you have a three-way tie and each person has beaten each person one time, so you can't really determine who is the best, then you go to total points. Next setup here. These following screens are for elimination rounds, which we're not going to worry about. So we're just going to go ahead and click next setup. And then we're going to click next setup again because it's elimination rounds. Geographic regions, not going to really matter when it comes to this particular tournament. Next setup. Judge assignment options can be random. The program knows not to put judges that are associated with a particular school together, so we don't have to worry about that either. Next setup. Next setup. Next setup for sweepstakes. Side determination, traditional. Basically, this is about whether or not in the elimination rounds, how they're going to be set up. So again, we have to do anything. So main menu. We now actually have this all set up. You can see the title, location, date. Here are our two areas. Now, the next step is going to be actually putting in the amount of rooms you need and the room numbers. Hopefully you have that information. What we'll do is we'll actually go to enter rooms here. And the way we have this is the room name, which typically is just going to be your room number, room 101, room 354, whatever you want to call it. We don't need to worry about building number. If you want, you can make it available for one particular division. Notice that 1 and 2 are open only here. So tell you what I'm going to do is we could put in some rooms right now, but actually, while I think about it, it might be better to go ahead and import the data because then it'll show you how many rooms you actually need, which is kind of handy. So tell you what, we'll go ahead and skip forward by clicking back to main menu. Let me close this because I know you can see this. And we're going to go ahead and open up Tab Room. So once you're in Tab Room, go and open up your specific tournament. Here it is, VCFL1. We're going to go over here to Entries. We're going to go down to Data. Click your data. All right, now we want to export. And specifically, they have it right here, export to TRPC. We're going to go and click that. All right. Remember earlier when I had mentioned the divisions and the division numbers and what it matters? Well, this is where it matters because you don't want them both to have the same number. Lincoln Douglas, we said, was 1. Public Forum is 2. And then we want to make sure both of them are selected to export. Since we have both of them selected now, we're going to look down, Judges. If we don't select this, it will not carry our judges in for us. So we want to make sure we have the judges selected. Okay, there's some information there if you would care to note it on exporting TRPC, but really this is all that matters. Clicking Export Data Files. Okay, so what we have here is a breakdown of the data that needs to go in. And what you're actually going to need to do is you're going to need to highlight all of this information. You're going to want to copy it. Then we need to open a notepad. We use a notepad file for copying and pasting that information in. So we're going to edit, paste. All right, file. We are going to save this. For easy access purposes, I'm simply going to save it to the desktop and we'll call it TRPC data. Save. Okay. Okay, so picking up where we left off, If there's a little skip there, sorry about that. For some reason, there was a little technical difficulty. I had to restart things. Anyways, what we should be seeing now is the TRPC data file that we just saved. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to go ahead and drop down the website as we don't need it. We're going to go back to TRPC. All right, to upload our data, we're going to go to Format. We are going to upload beginning data from text files. So I'm going to click on that. You have all these options here, and what we actually want is we want the Grapevine Joy of Tournament Systems. So you click on that. You're going to click Read Jot Debate.txt file. There it is, TRPC data, just as we saved it on our desktop. So I'm going to click Open. Now, it's going to have the divisions in there to upload. So we'll go ahead and click Lincoln Douglas and Public Forum. We'll click Import Data. It's going to replace anything and everything we've already had in there, which was nothing, so that's fine. We're going to click Yes. It's going to ask us to shut it down. So we're going to have to shut down TRPC. We're going to open it back up again. Hey, look, it detected there's another copy, so it's going to shut it down again. This is extremely common with TRPC. It is certainly not free of bugs, but at the same time, closing it down, opening it back up again tends to solve most of the problems. So let's go ahead and take a look now, see if our schools are in there. It says there's 407, so that means there should be 6 other schools in there. There's Charlottesville, Covenant, Hired, Louisa, Maggie L. Walker, Monticello, and that's all we have. So those must be the only schools that have debate. Now, if I move on to say, let's go ahead and look at our contestants. We'll start here. It says there's about 22. Start with 1, Charlottesville. It goes by initials. That's the individual there. This is Lincoln Douglas. You can tell there. Another Lincoln Douglas, another Lincoln Douglas, another Lincoln Douglas. It's going to go through the Lincoln Douglas first. And I can tell it's Lincoln Douglas because it says Division 1 here. And it indicates Lincoln Douglas. Eventually, we're going to move on to, there it is, Public Forum, Division 2. Here we have the initials of the last names. So Charlottesville, SL. So we have SL there that matches up. That indicates to us that we have our teams in. Now, if you really wanted to make sure, if you absolutely wanted to see if it matched up, which this is not something we normally do, but you could go to tabular entry of schools, contestants, and judges. Just put in, we'll start with Charlottesville. So Charlottesville here, we can see Speaker 1, Division, what it is for Lincoln Douglas. All you would need to do then is go back to Tab Room. Here I have to go back from the information we had. And then if I go up to Schools and pull up Charlottesville, we see 6 entries. 1, 2, 3, 4 LD, 2 PF. Let's go back to Tab Room. There's 4 LD, 2 PF. So you can see it matches up. So we're going to believe that it has everything. Of course, if a student or a coach says, hey, I don't see my name up there, well, that'll be in the later video where I'll show you how to manually add folks on from TRPC if they're not in Tab Room. Okay, so now that we have the folks in there, we're going to go back to the part that I kind of indicated but skipped over, which is that of entering rooms. Here we can actually see now how many we need for each, which is really nice. So really, if you want to share rooms, you can. I like to split them up, but you need a total of 10 rooms. You need 5 rooms for Lincoln Douglas, 5 rooms for Public Forum. So bear that in mind when you're looking at it. All right, going back to where we were before. Here you're going to type in the numbers. Now for this, I'm not sure what the layout of the school is. I'm not sure how they number or name rooms, but I'm just going to say that we start with 100. So 100, and we'll make that for Lincoln Douglas first. And typically I like to keep judges and competitors in the same area of the school because it's easy to find. And if I need to find a Lincoln Douglas debater, of course, you always run the risk of somebody walking into the wrong room, but that's why judges should be checking to make sure they have the right person. So I'm going to save and find next, 101, make sure it's only available for Lincoln Douglas. I need a 102, Lincoln Douglas, save, 103, save, 104. Now, down at the bottom, we notice here it says we have 5 available for Division 1. And it's listed through all the rounds, but really that doesn't matter as long as we have 5 there for round 4. So we have our 5 rooms because that's what we need. So now we're going to move on to our next ones, which I believe we're going to start with 105. And we're going to say that is available for round 2. Save by next, 106, save, and find next, 107, save and find next, 108, save and find next, 109, save, find next, 110. Oh, actually, I don't even add a 110 because it looks like I'm beyond that. So I'm going to hit save and find next. We can just go through it here. If we click here, the one, it'll take us back to the very first one we have listed. Here it says room 1, which is room 100, room 2, 101, room 3, 102, so on and so forth. So those are 5 rooms. Okay. And then we have, and you notice it switched over to this, 7, 8, 9. Okay. We have enough rooms. That's the bottom line. As long as we have enough rooms for everything, we're good to go. So once we have that, again, we now have our schools entered, we have our contestants entered, we have our judges, we have our rooms. Let's go and go to judges for a second, because this actually does matter when it comes to judges. I'm going to click here to go to the very first entered judge. If you notice, Miss Malberg from Charlottesville, she indicated that she was going to be judging Lincoln Douglas. Here's a great rule of thumb. If you can do Lincoln Douglas, you can do public forum. So now this judge is open to judge both. Let's move on to the next judge. They said Lincoln Douglas. Guess what? You can do public forum too. Next judge, public forum. Next judge, public forum. Next judge, public forum. So on and so forth. Now, if for some reason a judge has a specific note, LD only, obviously keep them in only LD. But this just opens up our judge pool. Now, here we have Ryan Stevens from Charlottesville listed for public forum only. We do not want to put this individual in Lincoln Douglas because Lincoln Douglas is a little bit more specialized. You kind of have to have some background in it. It helps. There's more of a structure when it comes to core value criterion, and things of that nature. So we're just going to leave that alone. Now, if you happen to recognize any of these judge names, I don't. But if you do and you go, oh, wait a minute, I know this person can judge Lincoln Douglas, feel free to make them available for Lincoln Douglas. But what we essentially want to do is we want to make sure we have as many judges as possible that can cover everything. I'm just going through the various names. You can see that it cuts off certain parts of the name. So if you need to go in and adjust that, you can certainly change that here. This is also the spot where you're going to manually add if you need to, which again, I'll cover in the next video. Here we have some helpful screens. Following is the number of judge units that are needed in preliminaries, 40. Here's what you have available, 68. So according to this, you have more than enough judges needed. Now, as you'll find out, judges get dirty very fast, especially the more rounds you do. Here we can see the judge availability that we have. There's 8 available, 17, and this is all throughout. If you recall, we needed 5 rooms for Lincoln Douglas, which means we need 5 judges for Lincoln Douglas. So here we have 5, and we should be covered. But again, they're going to get dirty, so we're going to have to switch them around numerous times. Okay, so now that we have our judges done, now that we have everything entered in, we are essentially set up and good to go. The next video I'm going to do is going to be about manually adding in some folks, also how to change things if you need to. But this, for all intents and purposes, is your tournament. You have everything set up. You have everything good to go. All your events are in there. So are all the competitors, all the judges, your room numbers. Everything is set to go and start pairing rounds. I'll put in pairing rounds and printing off results in a video after going in and making manual changes, just simply because if somebody shows up the day of the tournament, bring somebody along that they forgot to register, it's really good to add those folks in before you start pairing rounds. So again, that's the setup. I believe it's been about a 20-minute video or so. I'm really hoping that you get this done in under 30 minutes. Feel free to go back and rewatch parts. Feel free to email me directly or contact me if you'd like to. Contact information should be listed wherever this video is found. But hopefully your TRPC setup goes well. Again, the major advantage here is that not being connected to the internet, it doesn't matter. The only thing that mattered was for downloading the information. So if your network goes out, you can continue to run your debate tournament with no issues. Thank you so much.